Hi, my name is Niall. This is my personal strategy presentation. At the beginning of the module, I set out the following SMART objectives. It looks like a lot, but they actually break down into 4 main tasks, which I'm going to discuss. So my plan of attack, I started out with a timeline. This was just like a general idea of how long each task was probably going to take me, which I then used to create this Gantt chart, which broke the task down more precisely and assigned them to days and weeks of the module. I was a bit skeptical of the Gantt chart at first, but it ended up being really useful because I could just check where I was in my project and what I had to do next. The user story is here. Again, that broke down the larger tasks into individual steps, which I could use for the Gantt chart. So I started with Snowballed. I wanted to change the models, the animation, the code, and the UI. The models were just blocky. The animations were boring, with the snowmen just shrinking down to the floor. The code was just a mess. There was, everything was a public variable, so that needed tidying up, and the UI was just a bit garish to look at. It wasn't all bad. There are some fun mechanics in there, and I think there was a solid project underneath all of the problems. So here you can see some of the refinements I made. The snowman model looks a lot better now. They've actually got some character, and when you kill them, they explode into their individual pieces, which is really satisfying. The code also is now properly commented, and everything's named appropriately. And the sled even got an update, complete with normal maps. Overall, I achieved the goals I set out. I re-released it on itch, which even had an updated press kit with a trailer, and it got a fair few downloads compared to what my projects normally get. So my developer profile was largely non-existent. I didn't have a Twitter or a portfolio site, and my LinkedIn still said that I was looking for a placement. I started with my LinkedIn, updated the images and the bio, as well as adding experience from placement. And I even added some skills in the skills and endorsement section, completing the LinkedIn assessments to get the official badges. My developer profile was next. I ended up using Wix for this, just because I decided I would rather have a professional website that I hadn't made than a semi-professional one that I had, especially as this was going to be sent to prospective employers. Twitter was a strange one at first, because I'm not used to social media or Twitter. I don't really use it often, but I got better as the module went on. I noticed that your impressions went up if you used hashtags more liberally, as well as if you added a video or image, so I tried to follow that formula as much as possible to get the most reach. Again, I achieved all the goals I set out to, and I actually think I might continue to use Twitter, so feel free to follow me at nfrancisgames. For the events, there were 4 that I initially wanted to do. A game jam, which I found with the help from itch, Yuki Hub Crawl in Cardiff, Insomnia 64 because of its indie developer presence, and finally the beta challenge. The first 3 events ended up being really great. The game jam was a lot of fun despite being hectic, and the talks of the Yuki Hub Crawl were really good. Even the ones I thought would be dry turned out interesting. You may notice there's no evidence from the beta challenge. This is because after a few sessions it was clear that the content wasn't really relevant, so I decided not to go. Despite this, I still managed to attend my 3 events, and maybe I did learn something from the beta challenge, even if it wasn't necessarily relevant to my objectives. So initially with C++, I was planning to learn Unreal, but I had issues installing it on my computer, and I'd already bought the Udemy course for the full price of £200 by accident, so I ended up getting that refunded, and decided to use a book I had on the Humble Bundle, which came recommended by Dan Livingston earlier in the year. I also used Daily Programmer on Reddit to have some small tasks to do on the side. I actually think this turned out better without using Unreal, just because all my experience for game development is with visual editors such as Unity, so creating a game just in code was a really good experience. The book started off slow, explaining a lot of programming principles I already knew, but this became really useful when it got to the complex parts of C++, such as pointers. Despite the setback with Unreal, I actually have some C++ knowledge now, as well as demos that I can show off to prove that. So did it work? Yeah, I think so. I secured a job at my placement company, and when I told them about the industry engagement I was doing and sent my new portfolio on LinkedIn, they were really impressed, and I think that led to them offering me the full-time position. My reach on Twitter and itch has never been better. As you can see, I got a lot of downloads on Snowboard, and I'm proud to show it off now. I also have new skills in C++ and some demos there. If I were to do it again, I would have obviously looked into Unreal earlier, and I would have known that the beta challenge wasn't as useful as I thought it would be. I've also put Twitter as a con as well as a pro, just because it started out not being used to its full extent. Thank you much.